Donald Trump Jr. is upset at Fox News. And the reason is very difficult to follow. Before I show you this clip, the background is that his dad, Janie will take that down, was ranting about Fox News after they did an interview that he didn't like that we discussed. The fake spin, Trump wrote, is so bad for Republicans that it's hard to believe that we win. It will be very unfair in the future when they don't have Trump to fight for them. Therefore, we should fix it now. And then he goes on to essentially say that it is a tragedy and a travesty that Fox News would allow any Democrats ever onto their airwaves, is essentially what he's irked by. And he's saying the key part here was Fox should either get on board or get off board now. But at this point, it doesn't make any difference to me. So even Fox is not pro-Trump enough for Trump, which is psycho. Did you send that clip, Cole? Maybe we just, before we check in on Don Jr., we do have a legal obligation anytime we cover him to look at this reminder compilation of who Don Jr. is.
I know, luckily I don't snort all. I know, luckily I don't snort all cocaine. Joe Biden is the guy they're going to call. Kimberly for press secretary. Perfect. You know what? That'd be great. You can do like 6 days a week in Washington, D.C. I get peace and quiet. Everyone wins. Don't tell her I said that. That would be trouble. Imagine if it was Don Jr. smoking crack with prostitutes. Here we go. Oh boy.
So that's Don Jr. Just I'll get sued if I don't play that every single time. And then just again a little bit more background before we see him upset at Fox. Also, this was a zoomed in shot of him getting ready to answer a question, and I'll just kind of play that for you. Always doing fun things with the mouth, and just always an interesting feller. All right. And now we're all contextualized and we can look at him saying that Fox News has gone woke.
Clear, but that's the problem with some of these things. The conservatives try so hard they want to show both sides. Now, they let someone go unfettered for hours talking about these things without anyone pushing back, without any resistance. They allow them to spew their narrative, which is, as we've seen for the last few years, all lies. But that's what happens when you have sort of a more rhino network. They want to be loved. They just want the power. They don't care. It's about clickbait. So they do that. Whereas the left, they just go full all in, no matter what. We're playing different games as always. So it's a shame to actually see that. I don't watch it anymore because it is so ridiculous. They try so hard to be unbiased that they're actually biased towards conservatives at this point. It's pretty ridiculous, but that shouldn't surprise us. These are networks that banned. I know I was banned for 2.5 years. I'm barely on anymore. I know my father was banned. They were doing, giving lap dances to other presidential candidates because they wanted a puppet candidate. They wanted someone that answered only to them and the people at the top. They don't get that with Trump, and they're upset about it.
He's such a puppy dog. I can never get over that. Just his whole mannerism. So, what are we supposed to even do with that? But this is the game that they play, which is you pound. All the media is saying they're too biased against you, no matter how loyal they get to you. So that they're always trying harder and harder and harder to be loyal to you. And it skewed our political dialogue a ton. And what's so interesting is what he's explaining is kind of the reverse. A lot of liberal outlets bend over backwards too much to prove they're quote unquote unbiased in a way that actually falsely equates the current state of the two political parties in a way that's not fair to the facts. Plenty of criticism is justified against the Democratic Party, but this false equivalency we see to the modern state of the Republican Party misleads people a lot, and a lot of mainstream outlets, and you're seeing right now CBS is going through this whole change trying to prove that actually we're really MAGA friendly, and it's a huge disservice because your job is not to placate a percentage of the country or to criticize equally each side, because sometimes the facts of the political moment means more of the stories are going to kind of be, you just report on them factually if you're doing journalism, but reporting on certain stories factually will be perceived negatively by certain people. That shouldn't be your concern. But the reason we've gotten there is because of this messaging, and it's damn effective when nonstop you have just thousands of people screaming at the CNNs of the world, the CBSs of the world, the Associated Presses of the world, screaming, you're too liberal, you're too liberal, you're too liberal because you said the election wasn't stolen or something. And then even if they're not doing consciously, they're gonna be afraid to do fearless, unbiased journalism that doesn't both sides issues a ton, because then they'll get that criticism again, and it's so irritating. And they for generations, some of these media outlets have really taken pride in doing journalism. Like I'm thinking about the Associated Press. Really, that's important to them, and it not being a partisan project. And so when they have that lobbed at them, it's like that's the main thing they're trying not to be. But then the left doesn't really do that the same to the same outlets, and so they're just hearing it from one side. So then it's tough because I don't really have the energy or the partisanship to start screaming every single 2 seconds at mainstream media saying, you're too right wing, you're too right wing, you're too right wing. But that would kind of be the only thing that would pull them maybe back somewhere in a reasonable position. But then, I mean, especially in the Trump era where they're afraid to lose access to Trump or have Trump come down hard on them, there's all of that going on in the opposite direction. But for Don Jr., it's saying that even if Fox, for what again? For interviewing Mark Kelly. And Peter Doocy had some pushback. But interviewing a Democrat, letting a Democrat speak one time on their airwaves is proof that they've gone woke and they hate Trump and they're now part of the Rhino deep state. And if Fox News isn't pro-Trump enough for you, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I guess you go to the OANs or whatever outlet that was, Newsmax probably. But the second that that's the new Fox News, then they'll not be MAGA enough, and it'll just keep on going. And this is what freaks me out about the upcoming, because a lot of people say, all right, well, Trump's term limited out, and let's assume he doesn't try to run for a third term illegally. And then what comes next? And I've sat at meals with people who go, you think once Trump's done and we'll kind of go back to like Mitt Romney's Republican Party? And it's just sort of, honey, baby sweetie girl. And this was to a man, so it's fine. Trust me, I said this to a guy. But it's sort of like, oh, that's so sweet. No, that's not going to happen. I think they're in a really scary spiral, and we might get a worse Trump after Trump. Doesn't mean he'll win, but I think that's what they'll put up. I guess it could be a she, but what, a Republican's going to nominate a she? Why not?